Okay, happy Wednesday again. If that's, yeah, maybe we should try the windows closed for the people online. It's fun hearing them though, isn't it? Oh yeah. I think they made off with our patio furniture. Pretty sure. Probably building some kind of a fort or something. All right. Well, welcome back. So we are in the Lamrim Chemo, and at this stage we're in the highest aspiration. We're in the level of the great scope. And within that context, we're in the 6 perfections, or the 6 far-reaching attitudes. And of those 6 far-reaching attitudes, we're at concentration. So the far-reaching attitude, or the far-reaching, let's see, 6 perfections. Yeah. So the sometimes perfections, paramitas, this far-reaching attitude. And an attitude of concentration has a reference. It's not just I'm thinking about concentrating. It's a stable mind. It's an attitude that is calm, an attitude that is pervasive in a stable mind that allows me to participate in life in a real meaningful and clear way. So last week we unpacked it a bit. So last week we had a little bit of dialogue around the idea of what it is to have a mind that's stable, that's clear, that is receptive, that's conducive, that's not just frazzled. Like we had a mindfulness group, and the lady was saying, what'd she call it? It's like a bottle full of glitter, right? Our mind can be this shaken up glitter, and it's all over the place, and you can let it rest, and then the glitter comes down and it settles. So can we have a mind that's settled? Can we have a mind that's clear, that's not just turbulent? And would say that yes, not only can you have that, that is the real path to enlightenment, is to have a mind that is serviceable, that allows us to pervade and actually see clearly. This is not easy to obtain, because we have a very busy mind, and it's helpful, I think, to understand sort of a starting point. So if we're going to really engage in having the ability to have a mind that's balanced, that's clear, that's attentive, that's actually going where I would like it to go, that's trainable. A lot of times they translate meditation as mind training. Well, we have to start with the attention. We start with our attention. You can train your attention and still have a very busy mind. You're just choosing not to get caught up in all the busyness. And as they take us through stages of meditation and quieting the mind, you'll find that even in the first levels where you can actually concentrate, where you can attend to and concentrate very clearly on what you're doing, they say that the description of the mind is still like a cascading waterfall of thoughts. We're just not paying attention to it. So at first, we're not so worried about a busy mind. We're not fighting it. We're not doing battle with it. It's the mind. It's pretty busy. It does stuff. We're training our attention. We're training our attention to go where we would like. And in that way, making our mind more useful, more serviceable, more attentive to where we'd like to be and to see more clearly. So at this point, in this training, in the Lamrim Chenmo, they're really far along, and we're at a stage where we would be saying, okay, I've created the conducive environment now to go away and actually train my mind. Now, most of us are probably not going to have that much opportunity right now. Most of us have jobs, families, work, things to do. But if you were in this path at this conducive environment of where we are, this would be a time where you'd go away. You'd go away and you'd literally unplug. And the trainings now in getting this conducive state of a stable and clear mind, they would say with our sort of Western mind, even though the text would say it's possible with all the right circumstances, all the right conditions, all the right preparatory practices, it's possible to have it done in about 6 months. He's laughing over there. Now, you have to remember that's possible based on living in Tibet or India in a very rural landscape where their idea of a busy mind is, gee, what's going on next Tuesday? Okay. Which is very different than what we have, right? What we have is a very busy mind that, we're going from the time we get up with activities and multitasking and bombarded. Our nervous system's a lot more jacked up than that guy that's herding the yaks, okay? And so the people that I know that are doing it, that are training, they generally set aside 1.5 to 2 years. And they go and they get a conducive environment and they prepare the conditions, and then they set off to start really cultivating and achieving what we call shamatha, a calm, abiding mind. And it's doable. There's people doing it. It takes, here in this sort of, with our Western busy mind and the activities, about 1.5 to 2 years. So you go off and they'll settle in and have trained, prepared, and get a quiet place out in the woods somewhere, a quiet place away from things. And then they'll begin and ultimately start working their way up to meditating about 12 to 18 hours a day for about 1.5 or 2 years. And in that environment, you would be able to go through what we call these 9 stages and achieve shamatha. And at that point, your mind would be, you would be able, shine is the Tibetan, so it's to abide peacefully, to peacefully abide, have my mind abide where I would like it to be for as long as I'd like. You literally, we call it, you step out of into what we'd call the form realm. We're in a desire realm too. So in this form realm, you'd hit that edge. And basically, you would dissolve all of your sense consciousness. And all of that would dissolve just into the basis of mind itself. Alan Walsh calls it substrate consciousness. It might be referred to sort of the bhavanga, the ground of becoming. So this is the level of mind of more pure awareness. So like by sense consciousness, I mean that your consciousness of your eyes, of your hearing, of feeling, so all that would dissolve. So you're not aware of your body, you're not aware of sound, you're not aware of sight, you're just resting and you're literally dissolved into your mind and your awareness. And it's described as luminous, pure luminosity, and blissful and non-conceptual at that point. So this was the Buddha's big epiphany, was there had been incredible meditators long before him. He went and trained with them. They actually attain more subtle states of concentration. They actually attain greater levels of samadhi. This is just an entry point, just an access point. And when he went and trained with them, he trained to the more subtle points. And in those states, it feels, a lot of people think they're enlightened at that state. It feels blissful. You have this taste of the non-dual nature of experience. And a lot of people think, well, this is it. And you get breathless state, and there's amazing things. You get these powers that come along with the stability of being able, clairvoyance and things like that. And the Buddha, he went through all that. He trained with these great masters, and then he thought, well, this is not enlightenment. This is a vacation. It's great. But when I'm not meditating, all of my mental afflictions and clashes are still here. You know, I haven't done anything irreversible. I haven't gotten rid of the karma, these clashes, these mental afflictions that still keep me stuck in a conditioned existence. My impulses, desires, those things are still here. When I go into meditation, it's fine. They're all gone because I'm not abiding in that. When I come out of meditation, whoa, I'm still here, and I still have these afflictions. So upon all that, you know, and his years of seeking, he came up with the big thought, and this was, I mean, what makes Buddhism, essentially. This is his path to enlightenment, was what if you took that access of shamatha, that access to the first jhana, that access where you just transcended the desire realm just into the form realm, and you rest there. And at this point, it's not too subtle. You haven't gone through all the more subtle points of samadhi. You're just here. And at this point, I can rest my concentration, my mind, I can abide here. And because I haven't gone too far, I can still think. I can still entertain a thought. If I want to think about something, I can still do that. I have access to a conceptual mind at this point. And so at this point, he thought, well, now I'm going to pick up my vipassana practice, my insight meditation. So at this level of mind, of stability, of clarity, where I can still think if I choose to, but I can abide and really rest here in a stable way. Well, now I'm going to do my vipassana practice, my insight. And so now in this level of mind, I'm going to meditate on the nature of reality itself. I'm going to do my insight practice, and what am I, and what is the nature of phenomena? What are these skandhas? What is this thing of the nature of reality? And as I get a taste of the nature of reality, now it's not just a taste. I can meditate and have it wash through me and abide in this state of clarity of the nature of reality itself, and achieves enlightenment. So that's all we got to do. It's doable, it's replicable, and now, having said that, there's quite a few conditions to get that level of mind ripened, and then here we are thinking, well, I don't have 2 years to go off and meditate. And I probably haven't done the preparatory practices and my nindro practices, and probably not ready for that. How's this help me when I leave here today? And this is where it's really important to understand meditation and its purpose in our daily life, and how it can be an antidote to sort of the mental afflictions that prevent us from seeing clearly and making the best use of our life to obtain even enlightenment in our lifetime. And so what happens sometimes is people get discouraged and they go, well, that's just too much. And what we want to remember is that the Buddha was a human that became enlightened. He wasn't different than you and me. And all of us have that potential in us now. And all of us have the ripened qualities of 18 specific factors that is a rare and precious human rebirth. You have those qualities right now to achieve enlightenment. You have it. We have it right now. And we can nurture that. And so we nurture it. Now, the idea of a little baby steps along the way is really where we get somewhere. Obviously, you know, we would like to be able to have the drive-through enlightenment, and you see it advertised, right? Come feel your bliss, enlightenment in 10 days in a retreat, and that you know, that drive-through that happens quick, and But change and working with our mind is a gradual process. And it's also a process that evolves in a way that has incredible results in certain aspects quite quickly, and then other times quite slowly. You don't know where you are on this continuum. You don't know how much work you've already done, and you don't know how things may ripen for you. So, what we do know is that if I don't train my mind is going to drag me around for the rest of my life. And I will be a prisoner in this body. I will be a prisoner of a mind that says, hey, you need to worry about this. Hey, you know, if you had that, you'll be really happy. Hey, you know what? If you did this, oh my God, if that happens, you're never going to be happy. Oh my God, I'm lonely. I'm so lonely. No one will ever care about me, ever. Oh, I'm so happy. This is the best thing ever. Man, if I could just contain that. Again and again and again, day after day after day, like a feather being blown around, my mind is going to say, you should worry about this, stress about that, fear this, really get caught up in this, or boy, desire that. And our whole days go by and we're not even a participant in our own life. Most of the time we're not even there. Most of the time in the moments of our life, our mind is somewhere else. How often are we actually even present in the moment that we're in? And how much of the time are we looking for those darn car keys? Or wondering, what is it we were talking about a few minutes ago? We were just talking about it. It was just right there. But I wasn't there. I just met you. What was your name again? Most of our life we're not here. We're not even present. And when we talk about being a prisoner, we're a prisoner by our impulses, our desires, our reactions, our fears, our emotions. This is all state of mind that is preventing me from being even the person I would like to be, let alone enlightened. Right? I'll sit here and go, you know what? I really want to be more patient. I'm going to be patient today. And then I go out and I'm impatient. What happened? I just decided I was going to be patient. I'm going to be a little kinder today, you know, and I go out and I start yelling at someone. I made up my mind to be kinder, and yet I'm yelling. I'm going to be more organized from now on. Yeah, New Year's resolution. I'm going to be organized. That's how I'm going to be. You know, 3 weeks later, where are those darn car keys? What was that? What happened? If we really start looking at our life, we're going to see that our own will, our own desire, our own real gift, the essence of this life, we're rarely a participant in it. And we're just chasing a bunch of desire and trying to avoid suffering and trying to feel good. I mean, basically, that's the reduction of life. I just want to feel good as much as possible and try to accumulate some good things that make me feel good and some good food and hope for the best. And yet, that is the source of all my suffering, fear, worries, stress, anxiety, and fear. It's a vicious cycle, and it goes on and on, mostly without us even paying attention to it. Because we're not even here. We're just, well, how do I feel better? So unless we can bring our mind a little bit into, let's say, bring it on our side a bit, to establish some free will, to establish the ability to put my attention where I like and start noticing things a little more accurately. And that's really what we can start doing. We can start by actually seeing the world more accurately. By noticing that, you know, whatever's happening, if I'm angry about something, where's the anger? It's not there. Okay, we can talk about this all day long. And you can still walk out and get really angry at something and think that's the cause of your anger, right? Why is that? My mind is very conditioned. And it says, as soon as I see that person, or just a classic example, politics, right? That's a big button issue. The opposite of who you believe walks in this room and boom, starts talking. That is the most annoying person. That's this, that's the problem. Where's all that affliction really? It's in my mind. It's not out there. The seeds of the anger, the resentment, the jealousy, the frustration, the annoyingness, those seeds are in my mind. They're not out there. They're not out there. They can't arise unless they're here, and that's a condition that triggers it. It triggers it. But the real source is here. So, if we understand that, then we start to go, okay, well, this concentration can be very helpful because I can start noticing, oh, this is what's really happening. And my feeling angry and upset right now, guess what? Won't last. It's going to come and go. And I'm not angry. As a matter of fact, I'm experiencing anger. It will come and go. I'm still here. And I don't have to react. But most of the time, we're not conscious of any of that. Something happens, I get angry, I act. Instead of, oh, the real cause of my anger is in my mind, and the real source of that was things that I did previously. And as anger arises, well, I can respond rather than react in a way that will not plant seeds of anger. I can do that. But I can only do that if I'm conscious of what's actually happening. And I can only do that if I'm present in my own moments. So this idea of concentration is important. This is, and I just cannot say it enough, this is really the key to free will in your own life. It's the opportunity to make the best use of the life that you have right now, is to be able to have some attention and some training to direct your mind to see more accurately. So if I'm doing 10 minutes of meditation a day, guess what? That's way better than no meditation a day. Way better. As a matter of fact, 10 minutes a day every day is significantly better than an hour here and there once in a while. A continuity of consciousness, a level of attention and awareness in my life, as much as possible throughout the day, is much more impactful. So as we enter into this this part of the practice, this is something we can do every day, and we can incorporate it even in small things. So one of the things I've suggested to people, you could probably open that again. I noticed some people seem a little warm, huh? It's my clairvoyant nature. Where people go, right. By the way, I have none of that, just to be clear. Just to be clear. So if we want to start training the mind, the essence of mindfulness, really, the essence of mindfulness is a state of non-forgetfulness. It's a state of non-forgetfulness. I'm not forgetting where I am. I'm not forgetting what I'm doing. I'm attending to, and I'm not forgetting tendencies I have or what's healthy or unhealthy. And so it's a not forgetfulness of, how about that things are impermanent? Because we forget that. We try to make things permanent. It's a state of understanding, 3 marks of existence. Don't forget, things are impermanent. This conditioned existence is unsatisfying. You're not going to find any lasting happiness out there. You're not going to find it. And this thing that I call John, this body, isn't going to be around, and John is not the same John that was here yesterday. Sure feels like it, and I get caught up in it. But if we can remember that however I'm feeling now is this stream of consciousness that's flowing, it's interdependent with all of you. And even how I arise is in dependence with you. And that everything that I have is only because of you. The food I eat, the things I think, the things I say, how I view myself, how I speak, is it's interdependent. I'm not independent. Well, if we have that state of non-forgetfulness, and you can start bringing your mind back to reality as things more accurately are, when we start training our mind, what does not arise is a lot of reasons to get mental afflictions to be triggered. So we stop planting seeds that are going to cause anger, resentment, jealousy, fear, etc. So we're at this point where I think it's never too early to start training the mind. It's never too early to start doing a little meditation. And you never know where a little meditation and a little concentration may transform your whole life. About 16 years ago, I started doing 10 minutes a day. And I'll tell you what, when I sat down for 10 minutes a day, it felt like an eternity. Really, 10 minutes a day. I was counting my breaths to 10. You know, and sometimes I actually made it to 10. And then, you know, back then we didn't have these apps. You know, you have a timer, and then sometimes you forgot to set the timer. You know, so then your mind would be going, did I set the timer? I'm meditating. Well, no, it's going to be all right. Did I set that timer? You know, and that would be a meditation for like 5 minutes. So you finally, I'm not going to look. Okay, I'm going to look. Okay, I set the timer. Boy, that was 5 wasted minutes. And, you know, just a wreck, right? And so what I'm saying this because where we start, when you start, we can change. We can change. For me, 10 minutes was an eternity. If someone were to tell me I was going to sit still for 10 minutes and I couldn't sit cross-legged or any of that, well, now, you know, I can go do retreat for a while. And my mind, most of the time, predominant amount of the time, is mostly where I would like it to be. It's not that I meditate great or a great meditator, but that in my daily life, I'm much more aware of my motives when I'm talking. I'm much more able to listen to you when you're talking. And I have the ability to have much more choice in my life by responding rather than reacting to what's happening in life. And so that started with just 10 minutes a day. But you know what? If you don't start the 10 minutes a day, none of that's going to happen, is the point. No cause, no result. I want inner peace, well-being, and happiness, but I don't want to create the cause for it. Right? The quote that we use a lot is, you know, I don't want suffering, but I really love the causes of suffering. Because I'll do all that all day long, but I don't want the result. So if we really want to cultivate this life of inner peace, tranquility, well-being, to have compassion and a way of being in the world that is suitable and beneficial for yourself and others, a mind that's stable and clear and sees the nature of reality, well, we actually need to do something about it. And that means we need to start training our mind. So this perfection of concentration, even though the big view is this big journey that people go on, we start where we are. And we start maybe with 10 minutes. And there are some conducive environments that are taught for us to start training our mind in this capacity. And now always when we're at the 6 perfections, we're at these far-reaching attitudes, it's always imbued that we are not doing this just so I could be happier. Right? Why are we doing this? For the benefit of all beings. That we're doing this with bodhicitta, with the aspiration that I have the opportunity right now to work on enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, and I have that every moment and every breath. that every single thing I do can be benefiting all beings all the time. When we imbue our mental states and our actions like that, they transform, they increase in merit, and they create conditions for us to be much more successful in what we're doing as well. We really create an environment. So we really want to bring that rich attitude into what we do. And never underestimate that attitude of what we're doing. It doesn't have to be a major thing. It can be attending to the cashier at the supermarket. I had a nice chat with April yesterday at City Market. She had an Italian hat on, a little chef thing. And the real gift today was that I was able to know who she was and have a conversation with another human being, because I was there. In the past, I wouldn't have been. These interactions in our life can be very meaningful. Anytime we treat other beings as though they're meaningful and valuable, with the thought of what can help you, that's a huge impact that we can have. And that my attention is something that can be directed for the benefit of all beings. So as we settle into that, I'm going to go over, there's these sort of conducive things that we do as we prepare to really train the mind, go do a retreat. But they can also be very useful just in our daily life. Okay, so these sort of 6 conditions. One is to live in a proper and conducive place. To live in a proper and conducive place. So technically in these teachings at this point, that would be finding that nice cave, that really nice little cabin, you know, and it's a conducive in place. Technically, they would want it to be high, where you have nice views. So actually, we're in a pretty good place, you know. We have big views, really spacious mind to really cultivate shamatha and good meditation. And they even say places that have been, other meditators have been great meditators. It's a very conducive environment. So what about our own house now? So I'm not in that place. So what's a proper and conducive place? It'd be really nice if wherever you live, you had a nice place, a really nice, clean space that you can meditate. And this conducive space would be one that's kind of clutter-free. You know, it's Zen practitioners have a really empty, sort of spacious sparseness to it. Tibetans, we tend to be more colorful. We have altars, and they're beautiful and very ornate. But something that's really conducive for your mind, a nice space. So if you want to have a practice, have a little space. If it's, you know, I'm used to living just little small places, so I'd have a nice corner of my room. And that corner of the room would be, you know, just a little altar, a little image, you know, some pictures of my teachers. And, you know, it brings a nice mind, a happy mind. I see them and I just think how fortunate that I got to have those opportunities with such beings. So, you know, it brings a really nice, wow, what a gift in this lifetime to sit with these beings and to sit there and to be with them. Really conducive. So a nice space that's conducive for you, that brings to mind potentials and opportunities, things that feel good. Now you can do that in your own space, and you might have it even just outside you, you know, on a beautiful day like today, you know, a little patio that's nice, and sit down. I can't believe in October we're still got the windows open like that. I guess I can believe it because it's happening. I don't want to exaggerate. And then, now all of this is, you're going to see, is helping to settle the mind. It's the mind that we want to settle. Shamatha is about settling the mind in its natural state. And so you'll know that if you're sitting in a nice, clear, clean space, your mind's more settled. Some people say your house is a reflection of your mind. Scary, huh? Mine is scary. But at least have a corner of your mind It's a nice place, and it's conducive. Then few desires and attachments. So if you're going away, you really don't want to have a bunch of desires and attachments, things that, plans to do. You want to be able to be in a state that very basic needs and they're met, and the idea that I really, as a matter of fact, some people get very attached to how they're going to meditate. They get attached to their meditation cushion. They get attached to the incense. Man, I don't have my incense. How could I meditate? This is not very good. And so we get very attached to our rituals and our meditation and our, people spend quite a bit of money. I mean, sometimes on their cushions and their things, right? And we have that, and which is nice to have, but again, the attachment to them becomes sometimes a problem. So just have few attachments, few desires. Remember that we're creating a space in our life where our real essence is what matters. Okay, what is there to be attached to? Is there something out there that's going to make you really happy all the time? Boy, if I just get that ski pass this year. Then we get the ski pass. The year comes and goes. Are you still happy? Could you be unhappy even with the ski pass? It's possible. Actually, quite likely, right? But our mind really gets attached to if this person's in my life, or if this person's not in my life, or if this ski pass happens, or if that vacation happens, or if I get this job, or I get, all those attachments. And then those things happen, and we're happy for all of 10 minutes, or maybe even a day. And then then we worry about losing the ski pass, and then the stress and the cycles come on. So attachment, desires, we want to let go of those and know what is something that's actually meaningful. What's meaningful? And what's really meaningful that stays in our life is how we live our life, the karma we're creating. What's the merit I'm creating? What's the positive potential I'm cultivating in my life? Well, that kind of sticks with us. When this body goes, that's part of this continuum. So rather than being attached to those outer things, if we're going to have some desire, how about desire for merit and wisdom? How about desire for compassion and these healthy mental states and being beneficial to self and others? That's a pretty healthy desire. Be content. And so a nice, conducive environment, few desires and attachments, and again, this is set to go off somewhere, but in your own place, learning to be content is really tantamount to learning to live in reality. Learning to be content, and content doesn't mean. It means there's a sort of radical acceptance of what's happening as it is. Okay, a radical acceptance of what's happening as it is. It doesn't mean you like what's happening, necessarily. It means that I understand that it's happening, and I'm accepting that it's happening, and I'm content in the sense that whatever's happening is a opportunity for me to cultivate merit and wisdom. I may not like it. It may not be what I had planned, but there's a calmness and a contentment that whatever's arising is empowering me to become enlightened. And unfortunately, usually it's only the painful things that really trigger us to become more enlightened. It kind of sucks, doesn't it? But it's those difficult events in our life that we really cultivate our greatest wisdom. Ultimately, as we get better at this, we can learn to take the really beautiful moments in our life and cultivate that enlightenment. But so contentment means it's not the sense. A lot of people say, well, if I'm contented, well, I'm not going to strive for anything. If I'm content, why would I strive? But we're actually striving. We're striving to make the best use of this life for ourselves and others. So there's a striving, but there's a contentedness, a peacefulness that says, well, I'm not attached to how it looks. I'm not attached to an outcome. What I'm focused on is how I'm engaging in what's happening. That's what matters, not the outcome of things. So I'm content with what arises, and I'm content that I will have the ability to respond to it in a way that's meaningful. So everything can be meaningful. So it's not necessarily the state of not of just striving, whatever. Whatever. It's all good. Is it all good? Is it all good? I've seen the bumper sticker. But is, mental affliction all good? Is, killing and beating and abuse and rape and molestation all good? Is it all good? I doubt that it's all good. So content doesn't mean it's all good. It means that, hey, it's messy. As a matter of fact, this is unsatisfactory. And this is unnecessary. It's not all good. As a matter of fact, it's something to avoid at all cost. That I am going to work with every breath I have to liberate myself from this prison and bring you along as well. It's not all good. Matter of fact, very little of it is. But it is a conducive environment to attain enlightenment. So even the suffering becomes a cause and a condition for enlightenment. So it's a tricky thing when we say content. It's not a passive state. It's a very active state, really, to be content. And to be dissatisfied and content, it's an interesting play on words, because should we be satisfied in a state of mental affliction that keeps me stuck in samsara and propelled by karma and again creating suffering for myself and others? I would say that probably not. But I can rest in the contentment of a path that leads to enlightenment and benefits all beings. And that whatever's arising, that this is the opportunity to respond in a way that cultivates our highest potentials. It's a tricky coin there. It's a very tricky coin. His Holiness will say that all anger, resentment, and jealousy, those types of anger, is as a result of dissatisfaction too. So that's the kind of contentment we're talking about, is that my mind is not starving and reaching out, that I'm discontent in the sense I need something that's missing, where I actually have what I need in my continuum. I have Buddha nature right here. It's not out there. I have it right here. I don't need to go get all those blessings from all those high lamas. It's nice if I can get them, but that's not the thing. What I really need to do is work with my mind. So avoid distractions and extraneous activities. We don't do any of that, right? Distractions, extraneous activities. So again, this is, on a retreat, you're not going to, especially a shamatha retreat, in between meditations, you don't talk. You remain silent, really, because the more silent you are, the less busy the mind is. The glitter jar is not busy. So you don't talk. You're conscious in between the meditation sessions. You're quiet. You don't get engaged in busy activity. In our daily life, I would say that we want to make some time where we're not distracted. We want a little quiet time. It's nice to give yourself a break. Give yourself, we pay good money to go to a masseuse, to go sit in a hot springs, to go get a rub down, just to relax and chill out. You know what? Give yourself 5 minutes. take a little time where I don't need to think or do anything, and I just can breathe and relax my body. Give ourselves a little bit of time without distraction. Put the phone on silent for 5 minutes. Go do something. Take a walk. Take a walk and turn the phone off. Give yourself some space, because otherwise that mind is just dialed in and hooked in to the busyness of it all. The busyness of it all. So take some time in your day and see if you can make some space without distraction. We literally want to be distracted. I just want to tune out. I just want to go do something where I don't have to think. I just want to, and we also want to recognize that to some degree, based on where we're at, that's okay. It's okay to go watch a movie once in a while. It's okay to go take a walk. It's okay. If we're too tight, we're not going to get very far. And we've lived a certain way for a long period of time. So start by making little spaces. And you may find that you will survive without your cell phone for 10 minutes on a walk. Could happen. Maybe. And then maintain pure ethical conduct. We've been covering that throughout. The really conditions for a calm, clear mind is ethical behavior. That's the ground of all spiritual growth. I'm going to be much more conducive to be able to concentrate and be clear and well if I don't have anything to hide, worry about, feel guilty about, shamed about, worry that you'll hear about, or what did I lie about anyway, and what do I really want, and how am I scheming, That's a lot of busyness. Wow, if I'm just honest, I don't have to remember what I told you last time. That's a lot of work. And the more ethical I am, the more helpful I am, the more calm my mind naturally is. The more I'm beneficial to others. So that's just a given. And so that really good ethical conduct in our activities really helps for training the mind. And then the sixth one they talk about is abandoning preconceptions about sense objects. And that's really exaggerating their qualities, and how wonderful that's going to be. And, whether it's... it could even be... people get very caught up in their tea. Don't they? Not you guys, but I've heard of it. Or their coffee, right? Oh, man, I had a friend of mine, I just used to love to watch him get a cup of coffee. Because no matter what it wasn't going to be good. and you get that drink and the little scowl, and what is this dirty water, and I would it would be great to watch. And there was one coffee that he really loved. There's one coffee, and it was only coffee. You could try anything else, and it was his was a Starbucks Italian roast, the one with the little Vespa, and he would tell me, this is what I want. It's the Italian one. It's got the Vespa. He would describe it in great detail. I'd go to Starbucks and I'd get a different one. And, the guy told me it was just as good. He just, oh, man. It's not that one. Well, here, try it out. It's supposed to be just as good. It's the French roast. And you go, damn. No, this is dirty water. So I'd go back and I'd get another one. It was a fun ritual we had. I did this year get him the proper one. I think it was the only time ever in all the years I've known. But we, that outward thing of if, our favorite this and our favorite that and our attachment and things around that, is just to remember that the outer conditions that we have, the preconceptions about the coffee, the tea, the food, the jacket, the whatever, the car, whatever we're attached to, those things in themselves, of course, are never providing you any lasting happiness. They can't. And based on how you feel on any given day, that same meal could taste terrible to you one day and good the other day, depending if you're sick or not. So just letting go of that. There's a spaciousness that arises when we can do that. And there's some other sort of key points, and I'm just going to talk about a couple that are really helpful. So if we're meditating, we talked about you want a nice, conducive environment. You want to have few desires and attachments. Just sit down, have a nice, clear place. You want to be consistent. So consistency is real important. Like I said, 10 minutes a day, every day, much better than an hour here or there. Or I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to go do an hour. I used to do that. I'd go, I'm going to go do a lot longer. Consistency. So if you have a morning routine, try to get in the morning routine. If it's the evening, do it in the evening. But try to be consistent. And start with shorter sessions. Don't start with a long time. The idea is to have sessions that are short, that are meaningful, that you get good habits in. And when you have the good habits, then you have a little more time. So I started with 10 minutes. Eventually, I could actually keep track of my breath for 10 minutes. And then I did 15. When I could do 15, then I went to 20. And so we really want to start because we want our meditations to be something we feel really good about and we get good habits. And we don't want it to be, I have to go meditate. That's not very conducive for a strong meditation practice. People will go do that. They'll go do a 10-day Vipassana retreat and they'll come back with a commitment to do an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening. And they're on it, and it feels good, and I got my thing, and then it becomes, oh my God, I got to do my hour. And then it becomes, I didn't do my meditation, and then it's this burden, and then there's a guilt, and then we don't want that. We want, hey, you know what? I did 10 minutes. All right. And, at some point, I'm doing 15 minutes, and then maybe even if you're up to an hour, you go, well, I didn't get a chance to do an hour, but I did 10 minutes. I actually give myself credit for just thinking about meditation. I just find it such a richer mind. It just says, hey, I wanted to meditate. I think it's important. And that's good because that's a good relationship with it. It's not, this thing I have to do. I know it's important. It's meaningful. I didn't do it yet, but I intend to and I want to. Good job, man. And that's so much more helpful for a practice than, I got to go do this. It's like, okay, I didn't do it, but I will, and it's important, and I feel good about that. So a really nice, good attitude towards it. And then, don't push yourself too hard, and try to make, the other piece I would say in our busy life is, one of the easiest ways to increase your meditation is just stop waiting, okay? Anybody like to wait? Anybody? Nobody? I don't like waiting. It's not. So instead of waiting, just meditate. Problem solved. People think they have no time to meditate. Just stop waiting. Here, go have a seat in the corner. We'll be with you in a minute. Good. I'm going to sit here and breathe. I now have a little time to meditate. I got to wait in line for that. Okay, I'm going to sit here and breathe and feel my feet and be present. Didn't have time before, now I got time. We'll be with you in about 10 minutes. Good, I'll be over here. I know it's going to be 15, but What a different shift, right? And it's just my mind that says, wow, I don't need to wait. I'm going, car broke down or the bike broke down. I need to walk somewhere. Well, I'm going to walk mindfully. I'm going to feel my feet on the ground. I'm going to arrive in each step. Well, that's kind of nice. I get chances to do walking meditation. So the Buddha taught 4 postures. And it says here, postures, right? 4 postures. Sitting, standing, laying down, or walking. Okay, pretty much at any given time, you are either sitting, standing, laying down, or walking, right? So don't tell me you can't meditate or you don't have a posture. We do. So meditation, I can do it as I'm walking. I can do it when I'm laying down. For this particular practice of shamatha, they want you seated or laying down, because this particular one, you want the mind to be calm. So if you calm the body, if you still the body, you can still the mind. So for a shamatha practice, where we're learning to train the mind to settle, it's nice to be seated. And, you can do it laying down. Generally, it's not the best to start laying down, because you know what happens. Right, cutting the Z's. But it's not a bad thing if you do it in short periods of time too, and to be able to do that. So Saturday, if you make it to the retreat on Saturday, we'll go through some of those different types of walking meditation, of shamatha meditation, of laying down, of sitting up, postures, things like that. So here we are in the Great Scope. We've gone through generosity, ethics, patience, joyous effort, concentration. We're working our way to wisdom. Technically, I don't know if I have time to unpack technically, but in the realm of concentration in the 3 higher trainings, we have effort, concentration, and mindfulness. So these 3 embody this mental factor of mental stability. And it's incorporated within the Eightfold Path. So none of these are isolated. That's, I guess, the key point I want to say is your ethics have an impact on whether you can concentrate. Your ability to concentrate will allow you to have better ethics. They're interrelated. They're not isolated things, and that's what happens a lot of times in sort of modern secular sort of teachings. They take a component out and say, well, we're going to practice mindfulness without ethics, without wisdom, without effort, without and this is really a factor that's enfolded in everything that we're doing. So if I can bring some attention into my actions, I can start creating conditions and planting seeds that lead to clarity and wisdom, that I can cultivate compassion in my life, and compassion removes suffering. I can reduce suffering. But I can't do any of that if I can't train my mind. Because otherwise I wake up, I roll out of bed, and you know what I'm doing? I'm looking for something to make me feel good. What's going to entertain and distract me today? And a day will come and a day will go, and I wasn't there. And on and on and on. So I really want to encourage you to, as we leave here, really set an intention to think about tomorrow, waking up, maybe tonight even. It's best actually to set your intention before you go to bed, to wake up and say, I'm going to take a little time, I'm going to have a nice little space to do a meditation, and take a little time to start training my mind. And then try to bring that level of mind into my day, so I can start actually being a participant in my own life, consciously instead of unconsciously, and be able to make some choices that are beneficial to myself and others, and to stop doing things that create harm in my life and hurt others. And then we start living ethically, and we plant seeds that lead to the merit that's going to allow us to really grow, and then we can start tuning that mind in ways that are meaningful. And we can do this in our daily life. Where we need to go, since we don't have that 2-year luxury, and that's just for the shamatha, that's not even engaging in the other stuff. We can make our daily life our practice, and how you interact with everyone can be your Dharma practice. And that's where we can make a lot of progress, and that's where the Lojong, the mind training practices, really empower us to make everything we do, if we can bring our mind into it, cultivating merit and wisdom. We can do that by how we interact with others and ourselves, and aware of our intentions. And every time I have an impulse that I don't act upon that's harmful, that's beneficial. That's beneficial. That's amazing. It's amazing. But it starts with training the mind. So we're at the far-reaching attitude of concentration, a mental factor of being able to attend to what we choose to. right. So, we're right at 7 o'clock. It happens on occasion. We finish on time. So hopefully this is clear. If this went too quick, we do webcast this. We post this online, so you can review any of the key points. But also Saturday we will have a retreat. So if you want to learn more about meditation, find one that works for you. Let us know. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a dedication. Dedicate the merit and virtue we've accumulated here today for the benefit of all beings. I hope that you have found this beneficial. Let us dedicate the virtue and wisdom that we've accumulated both here today and throughout our lives, both individually and collectively. Let us dedicate this for the benefit of all beings. May all beings be free of suffering and find lasting happiness. May we be able to use the merit and wisdom accumulated here today and throughout our lives to purify our own minds, to cultivate our own highest potential so that we can achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Thank you all so much. Always a joy and an honor and a gift to be with you. May y'all be well, be happy, try to stay out of trouble.